Welcome to your first challenge in the coroutines section. For this challenge, what I'm going to ask you to do is create a UI text element that says like game over, maybe a button if you wanted that says try again. And I want you to make a coroutine that makes that game over text flash and flicker maybe every 0.1f. Just again and again and again. And maybe I want you to start that coroutine when the G key is pressed, G for game over. So I'm going to get you set up for that because maybe you don't have experience creating a UI element, and I will walk you through the pseudocode for what that script would look like, and then you're going to be responsible for filling in that feature on your own. So let's go ahead and get started. So in Unity here, we need to create a UI element, right? So let's go ahead and right click in the hierarchy and go to UI Text Mesh Pro for our game over text. And notice that the moment you add a UI element, a couple things happen. One, a canvas appears, and it's this gigantic canvas right here. So for this TMP, this Text Mesh Pro, you can go ahead and name this game over text. And then on that component, it has a Text Mesh Pro text input area. And this is where you can actually type in text. So I'm going to say game over. The font size is for some reason -99. Let's make that like a real size font, like, I don't know, 35. We can set a color, maybe this font will be red, and then let's set it to the middle. So the position X and Y is 0 and 0. And the thing is, we're not seeing any game over text yet. Well, when you first create your very first TM Pro object, this window should pop up. That's going to ask you to import the TMP essentials and then some examples. So go ahead and import this and import the examples and extras. And what it should do is it should give you some font files that you can work with. So there we go, TMP essentials and then examples and extras. And now you can see once I've imported that, our game over text appears because we now actually have a font file. Okay, so now that both of those are imported, you can close this window. So this game over text here, you can mess with it, right? You can mess with some of the font that you have here. There's quite a few different font assets that come with this. Okay, and now that you have that on our canvas, let's go ahead and create a script and we'll walk through the pseudocode of what we want this to be. So I'm going to go to the assets, the scripts folder that we have, right click and create a new C# script. And I'm going to call this UI manager. And then on our canvas, go ahead and attach that UI manager script that we just made. And then let's go ahead and open this up. So this challenge is fairly simple. What we need is a reference to the game over text object. In update, we need to check for input, maybe the G key for game over. And then inside that input check, we need to call a coroutine to flicker the text. Now down here, we will need a coroutine for text flicker. And inside this coroutine, they actually work really well with loops. You could open up a while loop and yield wait for maybe 0.1f seconds, turn the game over text on, wait another 0.1f seconds, turn the game over text off again. And this while loop could just be an infinite loop. You could just say while true, or you can do some other such timing if you want, but the goal is to just get this game over text to flicker again and again and again. Okay, so that's your challenge. Do your best with this and go ahead and pause the video here. If you get stuck, I will show you a solution in just a second. Okay, hopefully you paused the video. Hopefully you figured out a solution so that your game over text is flickering. And if not, no worries. I will show you a solution right now. So first things first, let's get a reference to this game over text object. I'm going to make it a private game object, and I'm just going to call it game over text. And I don't actually need the text component, right? We just need the game object itself since we're hiding and showing it. Serialize field. Although there are different ways of doing it. So if you did this with accessing the text component, that's really cool too. Now in update, let's check for input. So I'm going to say if input.getKeyDown, keycode.g, and now we get to call this coroutine that we don't have yet. So let's set up our coroutine. So that's a private IE numerator, and I'm just going to call it like flicker routine. It is mad because we don't have a yield statement yet, but let's go ahead and open up our infinite loop. So while true, and inside this while, we can now add our yield. Yield return new, wait for seconds, and I will pass in 0.1f. So now we can say game over text dot enabled. Is that an option? Or maybe it's set active. There we go. Game over text.setActive is true. And then we'll wait for another 0.1 f seconds. So yield return new, wait for seconds, 0.1 f. Let's go ahead and set that active to false. Game over text.setActive is now false. So this should forever and ever be flickering that text. Now all we need to do is call the coroutine. So let's say start coroutine, flicker routine, and that should be it. Let's save our script, hop into Unity, and let's assign that game object into the UI Manager script. So on our canvas, it's looking for a game over text. Let's go ahead and drag that into the field right there. The other thing I'm going to do real quick is go to the game over text and disable it in the inspector so that it's invisible. And let's go ahead and hit play. Okay, so with my mouse in the game view, I'm going to hit the G key. And there we go, our game over text is flickering. And the other thing you might notice is if I hit the G key again and again, and if I'm spamming it a bunch, we're gonna start to get some weird behavior. What we should be seeing is an even flickering of the game over text. But every time I start to hit the G key to spawn it, it's restarting that coroutine call. So really quickly, let's go into our UI Manager script and let's make it so that once that coroutine is called, it can't be called again. So if you want to challenge yourself, this is just using Bool logic, which is something we've done in a few challenges in the past. But if you want, go ahead and challenge yourself right now and pause the video and make it so that you can only call this flicker routine one time. Okay, so pause the video if you need to, and if not, I'll show you a solution in just a second. Okay, hopefully you paused the video. Hopefully you figured out a solution to make it so that you can only call this coroutine once. And if not, no worries. I will go through that right now. So let's make a private bool called like game over. And by default, it's going to be set to false, right? So now in our input check, if input.getKeyDown keycode.g and game over equals false. So if it's not been game over yet, we can hit the G key and it will call this coroutine. And then right after that, let's go ahead and set game over equal to true so that we can only call this one time. All right, let's save our script, hop back into Unity. That should do it. Okay, here we go. Mouse in the game view. All right, I'm gonna hit the G key and there's our game over text. It's actually flickering super, super fast. And I would change that if I was actually building a game over, but now I can't call this more than once because of that bool. Awesome, yay. Okay, good job in this challenge. In the next one, we're gonna get into a bit more complicated uses of coroutines. Okay, see you in the next challenge.